I've been bikepacking for many years now, and I decided that I needed to upgrade my current setup. As you probably know if you've been watching this channel for a while, I've been riding a charge cooker for probably about 7 or 8 years now. And although it's been a fantastic bike and it has served me well, it does have a couple of major flaws which I decided to rectify when I built this bike. The first flaw that was really annoying was that it didn't have any rack mounts whatsoever, and because I carry a lot of filming equipment on my adventures, it meant that the racks really struggled when I had to put all that weight in. The second annoying thing was the tyre clearance. There wasn't a huge amount there. I did try and run 2.8 inch tyres on the 27.5 wheel, but I found that in reality it just wouldn't work. It would always end up getting clogged up with stuff or rub on the frame. So which bike have I gone for to rectify these two annoying issues for me? This is my brand new bikepacking bike. This is the Sonder Frontier. I've been building this up for several months now and I'm finally happy with it. I'm amazed at how good it is. I'm going to run through it all with you now. Before I do though, if you want to see this bike in action, I recently took it up to Arctic Norway in the winter to see the Northern Lights. It was an amazing bikepacking trip. If you want to watch that, click the card in the top right hand corner of the screen, or there'll be a link in the description. Let me talk you through this bike. I went for this exact frame because it's almost identical to the charge cooker's geometry. It is slightly slacker at the front end, which was something I was after anyway, but other than that it's nearly identical, which means that it fit me really well and I knew it would be comfortable. The charge cooker I had before had okay gear ratio, but it did struggle up really steep stuff when it was fully loaded. The bottom gear just wasn't easy enough for me. So I rectified that by going for SRAM NX Eagle 12 speed, which has a 50 something tooth rear sprocket at the back, which makes riding up those sort of climbs a doddle. I was able to fit my trusty Topex MTX rack to the back of this because it has pannier rack eyelets. You do have to buy a little attachment for the seat post clamp so that you can fit it properly, but that was like £10 and it rectified that annoying issue I had before with the previous bike. I've also gone for the Topex Tetra rack again, which is the front rack which is clamped directly to the forks. It's not got any mounts or anything, but I've used that on my previous bike. It's been fantastic up to a certain weight limit, and because I can put loads of stuff in the back now, I'm not as worried about overloading the front. I'm running a couple of different bikepacking bag setups on this bike. The first is quite obviously this massive custom frame bag that I have made from Alpkit. Because Alpkit and Sonder are the same company, it means if you're buying a Sonder bike, you can get an Alpkit bag made to fit that frame without having to send in any measurements, which is ideal. I requested a couple of extra features like this reflective lining here. I've also got a document pocket on the other side, so when I'm going abroad I can put my passport and other important documents in there without them being mixed in with all the general stuff. The frame bag also has a hydration port which allows me to run something completely different I've not used in a while. It's one of these bladders. I used to always use bottles, but now I've got this slightly different setup. I can carry much more water with me. While I'm on hydration, let's have a look at what I'm doing. I've got the bladder in the custom frame bag which carries 2 litres. I've attached a magnetic clip to there from Osprey using a Garmin mount, and that allows me to slide it straight onto the handlebars and it's always there when I need it and it doesn't come loose. So I've got loads of options now when it comes to hydration. I also have a Camelback rear pack that I have been using which allows me another 1.5 litres. So in theory I could carry maybe 6 or 7 litres on this bike of water, which is going to be ideal for some of the desert bikepacking I'm going to be doing later in 2024. I've got the 27.5 Sonder Alpha wheels, which are the top end Sonder wheels that they make. I fitted them with 3-inch tyres, which I've actually had lying in the garage for ages because they didn't fit my old bike. Perfectly fits here. They do say that you should only fit 2.8-inch tyres as a maximum because of the internal rim width, but if you're running low pressures like this, I've had absolutely no problems with them whatsoever, and there's absolutely loads of tyre clearance. Let's have a look at the cockpit. So you can see I've got the 2 bottle cages up there allowing me to carry extra stuff. It's also great for things like Coke cans if you just want to grab a quick sugary drink and take it with you. I've got a Garmin mount for my bike computer, and then I've attached 2 Alpkit bosun lights, which are really cool because you can remove them very quickly with a quick release clamp and use them as a torch. So if you're setting up in the dark, it's an ideal option. I also have the Topex top tube bag here as well, allowing me to put some small electronics and food in there as well. I've used these for years and we're not planning to change anytime soon. Another thing I'm doing differently this year is I'm running fork cage mounts. So I've got bags, as you can see, on the suspension forks. Let's take a look at the front end. It's a very interesting setup and something I've not done on previous bikes. I'm actually running suspension on this bike, which is the first time I've done that since I was probably like 17. I decided to switch to road biking when I was about 18. and since then I've always had rigid bikes. But I'm going on more and more rough stuff now, so I've decided to go for the RockShox Recon 100mm travel front suspension forks, which doesn't mess up the geometry at all, and it allows for a little bit more give when I'm going over that rough stuff. Now, the issue people have when they have front suspension is that it often means that you can't attach certain racks or certain mounts to the forks. They don't come with those sort of attachments. So what have I done to rectify this? I have got a Tetra rack from Topeak, which is clamped onto the suspension forks, allowing me to put more stuff in that front bag there. I've used these before on previous bikes. I did find that they often slipped a little bit. So to stop that from happening, I've attached two other things to the frame, which means that it's not going to move. I've attached some tail fin suspension mounts to the forks. You just screw and clamp them on, and they're pretty secure. You can then add cages and different things onto them directly. They screw into it. So I have got a passport cage from Alpkit, which is screwed into the tail fin mounts. And then I've used these Alpkit Bitonga waterproof bags, which you can strap onto the cage, meaning that you can carry lots of stuff in the forks, which is something that I've never done before. It's ideal size for my camping cooking equipment. The great thing about the tail fin suspension mounts is you can effectively attach two separate things to the forks at a time. So at the moment I've only got the passport cages on there with the Bitonga bag, but I will be adding some bottle cages to the back here, allowing me to carry even more fluid if I need to. And because it's quite heavy, obviously, as water, and you're carrying it quite low, it helps with the centre of gravity. So that's it, my brand new bikepacking bike. I can't wait to take this on some incredible adventures in 2024. It's already been on one amazing adventure already. Any questions about the setup, make sure you stick them in the comments. I'll get back to you on those. Subscribe so you don't miss out on future adventures, and I'll see you in the next video.